Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am doing this video because I work day in and day out with so many people to try and help them to lose weight. And they're doing all the right things when it comes to food. They know they need to eat plants, and they know they need to pre-prep their food, and they know they need to keep to certain portions. But knowing all that is not helping them to lose weight. They're failing at it because we eat for other reasons. We're feeling burnt out, we're feeling stressed, and we're feeling fatigued. And in those chronic states, you can know all the right things for weight loss and then watch yourself, do something different. And that is what I want to address in this video. I want you to leave this video with immediately applicable behaviors that you can do that will stop you from eating when you're feeling a variety of different types of fatigue. And that is another thing I want to educate you in this video, is that there isn't just one type of fatigue, that there are multiple types. And once you understand what they are, and then how they're reacting in your body and in your life, and then I'm going to give you specific tools to help those fatigue states so that you don't turn to the food under these conditions. I have a guidebook, so I just want to say right up front here, go underneath into the description, and there's a link there so that you can download an actual PDF document so you can have something in your hands and something to remember the things I'm going to tell you about in this video. A main reason why my clients are not losing weight, even though they get the programs that I designed for them for their eating, is because we're eating for other reasons through the day. And we're eating because we're feeling fatigued, burnt out, and stressed. And when those conditions happen, we turn, you grab the handful of peanut M&Ms off your coworker's desk. You walk into the kitchen to, get something to eat even though you're not hungry because you're lacking energy. You got a mental headache from overload. On your way home that you got food there that's on your plan, and yet you stop at the fast food. These are the type of situations that are blocking weight loss for the clients I work, and I can see it in myself as well. So I want to talk about the different types of fatigue and burnout and mental overload that we get, because those are the things that are making us do the eating. And if we can have tools to address the different types of fatigue and stress and burnout we're feeling, then we don't have to turn to the food. The first one is sensory fatigue. All right, we are living in a time of human history, with our devices, with our computers, with our notifications. So we are constantly getting sensory input from sounds, beeps, notifications. We're on our computers all the time. You're driving the car and, you're getting a message on your console that says that you got, an email or a text, and that gets your visual attention when you're driving the car. You're talking to one person in the room or your family, and, your phone's buzzing or your Apple Watch is buzzing, and, that's getting your attention. All right. So we are living in a time where the stimulus that's coming in from our senses it's unrelenting. And so we will get what's called sensory overload, sensory fatigue. We're getting stressed out from all the inputs that we're getting through our somatic, body. Another type that comes in is, your legs are tired. You go to stand up, your knee hurts, and now that's getting your attention while you're talking to a coworker about a problem. The waistband is pushing in on your belly after lunch, and now that's got your attention along with the sounds and the notifications and the visual blue light from your computer. Unending stimulus from the sensory, our five senses: sight, auditory, touch, smell, and taste. Okay, so all these senses constantly stimulated, and we're looking for a little break from that. And believe it or not, eating something will actually give you a break. Like you're trying to recharge your battery from the sensory overload, but it really isn't functioning that well. But it's an attempt to try and get a reprieve from the sensory input. All right. So I want to give you a tool for this. The tool I want to give is what I call sensory deprivation. And it's not something that has to be hours and hours. It's literally 3 minutes. You do have to kind of plan it into your day so that when you realize that you're getting into this sensory overload, you have a headache, or when someone talks to you, you jump. You have to recognize you are now susceptible to getting into food to help to recharge your sensory batteries, or take you away from that sensory overload for, like a couple minutes. But, the eating has negative side effects. So what I tell clients to do, I'm telling you to do, is get these, eye masks that you use for sleeping and get some silicone earplugs and keep them in your desk at work or at home if you're working from home, in your glove compartment in your car, so that when you are coming from a very high stimulus, multiple hours, work, for instance, get in your car before you drive home, and out of the glove compartment this comes, and you're going to put these on your eyes. You're going to put the silicone earplugs in your ears. You're going to sit back in your car, and you're going to take 3 minutes to just breathe. And I want you to do something right now with me. Just take the palms of your hands and put them into your eye sockets and kind of block out the light. And by doing that, you're going to get a little bit of a feel for, there's a little bit of it's almost like a little cat nap. It's a little catch your breath. But what it's really doing is it's allowing you a 3-minute reprieve so that your operating system in your brain that has to, process all this sensory information is actually almost taking like a little nap. All right. And if you can do this like in between when you finish one project at work and that took you several hours and now you have another thing that you have to do, you can say, okay, for 3 minutes, I'm going to just close my door, turn away from my computer and do sensory deprivation. It will recharge your battery for this sensory overload by giving you a little reprieve, and it will help you to not then be susceptible to eating something as a method to try and get you this reprieve from the sensory overload that we're all feeling right now. All right, so that's one type of fatigue and burnout and stress is sensory, like at overload in the red zone. All right, second one, and it's different from the sensory, although it might seem related. It is related somewhat, but it's different. And this is mental fatigue, okay? Processing information, not just from the senses, but data coming into us from our phones, from our computers, from other people talking to us, the projects that we're doing, all this information, social media coming at us, scrolling through that, all this data coming into our brains that not from our sensory organs now, but that we have to, we're mentally taking into our cognitive brain, the frontal precortex, and it's overwhelming. The statistic is that right now, one 24-hour period, one day, the average human being is taking in more information than a primitive human being took in their whole lifetime. And just right there, we all know, you can identify with that. I know I can identify with that. So, we will be apt to turn to food and eating, when our brains are up to here, the battery for processing this information is down to 1%. And you just can't even think about, putting together the right food that follows your plan. You're going to grab at the Pop-Tarts that are in the cabinet or whatever else is around, thereby blocking your weight loss. But that's happening because we have mental fatigue. We're in mental overload, and that is thwarting our weight loss. All right. So what can we do that we can do in moments in every day, 2 or 3 minutes that can help us to recharge the mental batteries? All right. And this is the direct opposite of the sensory overload. This is use your senses now. So what I tell clients to do is rather than use taste, which is a way to use the senses to get out of your brain and all the information processing you have to do. We don't want to use that one because if you're trying to lose weight, but we can use, for instance, auditory. So one of my tools I'm going to offer you is use your sense of hearing. On your phone, cue up 1 or 2 songs like YouTube or Spotify or any other app that you use for listening to music. And I want you to cue up 1 or 2 songs that really speak to your heart. When you listen to them, everything else stops for you and you get this cascade of emotion, of beauty, of a memory from a great time in your life. You're going to drop dopamine into your brain. You're going to increase GABA, which helps to calm down your brain, a neurotransmitter in your brain, serotonin, beta endorphin. But really what you're doing with that is you're going to listen to the song, and when you're attending to the song through the sense of your hearing, you can't think of 2 things at once, despite what we think. And you're actually turning down the volume of all this information coming in that you have to process and giving yourself time to recharge that battery, maybe up to 25% to get you through the rest of the day. but you're listening to music, using your senses, your 5 senses, but don't want to use taste in this, because that's going to lead to weight gain. Another one is a visual stimulus. I tell people, hang a beautiful picture, an artwork, or a picture of a memory from your life and put it in your, office or maybe in your phone so that you can then look at that, glance up at it when you're, in the midst of information overload at work, and just take 2 minutes to just kind of look at it, take it in, have the memories from that, or just that it could be a beautiful piece of nature, like the Grand Canyon, for instance, or a beautiful seascape. And now you're looking at that, you're using your eyes to take in something that, again, is spilling all this good feeling chemicals into your brain. All right? So sensory fatigue, mental fatigue, and here's my third one, and it's going to be like maybe an aha moment for some of us, social fatigue. So I, for instance, I'll use myself as an example, I have a very engaged work, the work I do. I'm working with people one-on-one. I oftentimes have 10 clients a day, and that doesn't include all the other, socializing through texts and emails that I have to do for my work. And then after work, we want to do something. We'll go to a party, or there's a family event, or, on the weekends if you have a very social, engaging, career, or you're working with people and you're interfacing with them all the time. And then on the weekends, you want to do some things that are fun. And now you have a party to go to, or you have an event where there's a lot of people. What's happening there is we're getting out of balance for our social. We're getting socially fatigued, socially stressed, and socially burnt out. Not because this stuff isn't good. Interaction and human connection is being found to be tremendously good for longevity and mental health. But like everything, some is good and too much is bad and too little is bad, right? So many of us, we're having too much social time without a balance of just some awake self-time. It doesn't have to be hours, but I will tell you that, if you have very social weekends and you have a very, personally interactive job during the weekdays with other human beings, you've got to schedule. Like I tell clients, take a look at I look at my month and I say, okay, I've got 2 weekends that have a lot of social events. I have a very social, human engaging career. And so I've got to build in 2 hours on the Saturday of the next weekend, coming off a weekend that I had a lot of social things, just for myself, just to kind of sit back, sit in my backyard, take in nature, not, be with my significant other necessarily, but be by myself, drive myself somewhere, where I'm going to be alone, and not in crowds, and just be able to recharge my social burnout, my social stress and fatigue. Bring that battery up again to 50%, down from 1%, so that I can integrate with, the next party I'm going to go to or the next social event fully, and then not be susceptible to needing to reach to the chips in the bowl and the hors d'oeuvre table, so that I'm using that to reduce my social fatigue. I've got methods that I'm building into my everyday life to carve out time alone so I can recharge that social battery, because it is sensory overload fatigue, mental overload fatigue, and social overload fatigue that I find with my clients are setting them up to then turn to food to kind of recharge these batteries. They don't even realize that they're out of, that their batteries are low there on those 3 different types, because they're not really we're not talking about these different types of fatigue. Most of us are talking about physical fatigue, not getting enough sleep, sleep interrupted, and not, too much exercise or too little exercise. Those are the type things that will contribute to being physically fatigued, okay? But we're all addressing those, and you can nail those down and be, get your 7 to 9 hours of sleep, high quality REM and deep sleep stages, and still be feeling the fatigues from social, sensory, and mental, and then be susceptible to using food to try and help to manage those. And then, not be able to lose weight if that is your goal. All right. So this video was about addressing the 3 different types of fatigue that we're not really being fully aware of, and how we'll turn to food to address them, and then giving you some moment by moment. You can use the skills that I gave you at any point in time in any day And that is what we're lacking. And that's why if, someone will say to me, I'll say to somebody, well, what do you do to really reduce your sensory fatigue? And they'll say, well, I take a nap or I go get a massage. And I'm like, okay, but you can't do that between 4 and 5 o'clock when you're getting off work and then on your way home to your next job. Like, you got to have things that are equally quickly accessible, like food is, to recharge these other batteries so that you are less apt to turn to that food. All right, buddy, I hope that there's some aha moments I just want on for you in listening to this video, and that you've gotten some tools to take, to help to counterbalance the eating and to recharge these batteries of fatigue and burnout and stress. And if you did, then please check out my platform, yoursecond50.life. I have even more skills and tools for men and women both over 50 to help manage weight, get fit, and also have ideal health, optimal health for the next 50 years of our lives. All right, everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining and listening. I hope to see you on another video. And in the meantime, we got this weight loss that is being blocked by mental, social, and sensory fatigue. We got this.